April 11th, 2022. I wanted to discuss the more recent events that occurred with the interview with Charles, who had witnessed the mysterious light under the bridge, as well as the stuff that happened afterwards during our discussion with me. It's a great opportunity to talk about past experiences that people have had with mysterious lights out here. And so the physicality stuff, the physics, what's going on. We know that sometimes we can see these lights with our eyes. Sometimes we know we can only see them with the aid of, let's say, an infrared camera or something to that effect. So we know they're in the environment when we see these lights, especially when we have witnesses. We're not crazy. However, back in the day, people like Ted Visnick, he was on television talking about this, where he had witnessed the blue light effect back between 1970 and 1973. And when he saw the lights on the old road south of the cemetery, southwest side, it was going up and down the path. And at one point, when the light was not next to him, but in the vicinity of him, he said he felt like he was pushed to the ground, as if there was some sort of force, but no indications of any up-close physical contact. Now, in the past, Denise Travis in '71, who had spoken to Richard Crowe, so I was able to speak to Crowe about some of the details with this. She was with her, possibly her sister, that's what he remembers it being. And Denise claims that, she got to put her hand through this blue light that was in front of her, and she felt no temperature change or anything else out of the ordinary. Now, that's interesting. That's an up-close personal contact. And yet, her observations, nothing out of the ordinary. However, with Ted Visnick, we have something where there's some sort of force strong enough to push him. How strong that push was, who knows? Now, there's little stuff throughout the years. You hear people, stuff I don't publish, where they discuss little tiny things where they felt like they feel a physical presence here and there. I mean, you've got stuff like there was an EVP encounter event where somebody's bag was moving, stuff like that. I'm not really going to touch on that. I want to touch more on the light phenomena, because obviously there's got to be some sort of physics. I mean, we're seeing light, photons, whatever, and now we're encountering some sort of physical exerted force or something like that, possibly. So I'm going to come up with my claim. So with Charles, with the interview I had with him with the light at the bridge, which does deserve its own another separate video. After the interview, we walked to the bridge, discussed some more about the details of where he had witnessed this light, and then we went off and just had a small discussion near the creek, between the creek and the cemetery, kind of this little area. And we got into a really deep discussion, and maybe it's relevant, maybe it's not. I don't want to make that the main focus right now of what was being discussed, but as soon as I was finished saying some things I was saying, and take it for what you want. You don't want to believe that's fine, but if you take this stuff seriously, here are my observations. So I know with some of these lights, before they emit light, you can actually see, a lot of times they're just black circles. There are sometimes when they're black, like rectangle-y kind of things. And so when I was speaking to Charles, I was looking off to my right a little bit, and because something caught my attention. And again, take it for what you want. I saw coming out of nowhere these black balls, and you saw like a transition. Like you saw this blackness, and then it came out of nowhere, and it was just a ball. Which goes back to some theories I had, like, are they entering and exiting from some other reality or whatever, occupying the same space? But that's another separate thing. But anyway, I saw this, right? And I'm like, wow. Except it was pretty rich black. Sometimes you don't get this super rich blackness to it, but I saw it, and enough for me to watch it. And there were two balls, and they just went into the cemetery in that direction. Now, I kind of lost track of them once they got past the fence, and I just kind of dismissed it because I do see these things occasionally. But I was talking to Charles, so I tried to revert my attention back, but he was in thought with something I had said, I guess. And that's when I just kind of looked up in the cemetery again just to see, what was going on. And that's when I saw the flash. Now, normally when I see these flashes, you don't usually see the light really spread out. It's like really confined kind of thing. This time it was pretty damn bright, and I saw a bright, there was just something surrounding it, like the light just stretched out. Except it wasn't a perfect circle. There was an oval quality to it in a vertical direction, up and down. I thought, wow, that was pretty cool, and that was really bright. And I kind of just looked over some more just to look, and that's when Charles was looking at me, I guess, because I was doing whatever I was doing. And next moment I know is that, and I get used to this, another one of these black things. I wasn't sure if it was the ball thing or the rectangle thing, and I see it coming in on my right. Pretty fast. And normally I won't flinch at these things. You get used to it, Except the next thing I know, I'm feeling an exerted pressure. I don't know if it was a pressure gradient. You can look up on these things. But there was some sort of pressure going on. And it was enough to where I remember squinting a little bit, and it's like, like, what is that? And I'm thinking it's a bug, because now my eardrum, or my ear, it's there was an oscillation effect going on at the, just before the pressure and during the pressure. And I thought, because now my hearing is attenuated, and I actually thought a bug was in my ear. Just, I guess, my natural, rational, whatever. And I just felt this electrical thing going on. It was just really strange. And next moment is I feel an exerted force also on my shoulder. Just a pressure, similar to what's on the head. And this pressure, the best way I could describe it, it rolled in the direction behind me. So here I am, I'm like, and I'm covering my ear, and I'm doing this. And as I'm doing that, I can feel this charge. You know what electricity is like. I know, I work around some high voltage stuff, whether it's, Banograph, Tesla coil, all that kind of crap. You get used to this staticky stuff. And as I continued, I realized I really couldn't hear. It was attenuated. I'm thinking there's a damn bug in my ear. And I'm rubbing my hair, and I'm feeling this charge. And the more I rub it, the less charge. But I could feel the charge. And I'm looking at my hand, and I look up at Charles, and I'm like, what? And trying to be honest here, I go, what the fuck was that? I'm like, that was a fucking bug or something. And I realized Charles is just staring off to my shoulder area, and he's just got his mouth open, his eyes are just wide up open. And I'm like, doing this, and I'm like, dude, what was that? Was that a bug? I go, that was really odd. I noticed he's not talking. I'm like, dude, what's going on? Tell me, what did you see? Obviously I'm realizing he saw something. He's freaking out. He's even taking a couple steps back. I'm like, dude, please talk to me. He couldn't talk. I'm like, please say something. What did you see? And then he just started gradually talking, but he's now pointing. He's just he's trying to get it out, and I'm trying to get a description of this. Well, what did you see? Like, there was this light. How big was it? Like just this small. I guess it was like it sounds like the $50 size kind of stuff going on. Pause with the plane. Sorry, that was quite a few minutes. I lost my train of thought, so I'm gonna try to back up here. Tons of planes. So where was I? Yeah, I guess basically I was trying to get this guy to talk. It's Charles to talk. Here's this guy who had just given me an interview. Another plane coming. All right, hopefully I can keep talking here. It's been quite a number of minutes with these planes going by. I don't want to lose my train of thought. So where was I? I guess basically I was trying to get this guy to talk, this guy Charles to talk, because here we got a guy who had just given me an interview about witnessing this light, and that's great. And as I'm trying to go through this thing with him, trying to get him to speak, and now he's speaking and describing what he saw, according to him, he saw this light above my shoulder, I guess right, I'm like not away from me, just above it. And then it stood there for a moment and just shot off into the water, into the creek. And then I realized, I should get the details filmed here or something. But I can, as soon as I said, hey, you know what? can we talk about this? Can I interview about this? And immediately he's like, no, no, no. He's stepping back, like he wants to get out of there. I'm like, whoa, hey man, relax. It's okay. It's okay. You know, they're not going to do anything. It's fine. You know, I know you're seeing something here, right? You know, up close, and it's probably wigging you out. Because he's like, yeah. Um, and he relaxed a little bit enough to where I could pull out the camera. And I wish I would have talked more, but I kind of felt bad for the guy because he was a little freaked out. But it's great to have that witness, that eyewitness, to see what he had witnessed, especially with me seeing something, you know, on the opposite end of him, behind him, knowing that there were some strange effects going on before he got to see some strange effects. I know I'm forgetting something here. Okay, some of the stuff I don't want to talk about right now because it's kind of irrelevant to this whole discussion about learning about the physics of what some of this could be. I mean, we're learning that, if you want to take my word for it, that it can exert a force of some kind. And we'll go back to, I can hear the planes coming again. I'm so sorry. I don't want the noise to distract. Maybe it's time for a cigarette anyway. Those of you out there involved in using devices and trying to detect these things at a more scientific level, you know, these are definitely clues going on. Maybe we can come up with some new techniques. I know I designed that one optical receiver. Basically, it'll sense light and essentially demodulate some of that light spectrum. You know, man-made stuff is easy enough. I don't know about these things with these flashing lights. I know there's an oscillatory type of an effect. There's a frequency thing going on. And for me, at one point, I could detect not just rapid pulsing, but even some slow pulsing, since some of that slow pulsing could be easily detected with some cheaper equipment. You know, there's obviously some sort of an electrical charge. How far that charge reaches, don't know. I could just tell you based on this experience that there was a charge at that distance. What Ted Visnick had experienced, he didn't describe anything electrical, but if there was a force exerted from his blue light, you know, who knows? This stuff could stretch 20 feet. I really don't know the distance he was from this light when it happened. So, you know, maybe some of you out there are experiencing some of this. It's possible that you, when you visit here, and maybe you went through this oscillatory weird effect and you thought, you know, maybe something was in your ear, or maybe it was something else around your body and you couldn't explain it, and it was extremely odd. If some of you are out there, I'd like you to kind of report in and see if we can figure out some more clues. Well, I'll make this one short. I'm definitely, I got some more stuff to say, but you know, the physics guys, there's definitely something going on that we can measure. They obviously are sentient. They can interact with you, and you can interact with them in different ways, especially trying to evaluate the way they operate on a more technical level. So, well, until then, boy, was I being silly. I should have brought this up. A while ago, well, what's it been? Actually, 20 years, actually. We had a group, they were trying for a documentary. Nice group of guys. I got to meet them, talk with them, and they seemed very sincere trying to investigate this kind of stuff. And when they were out here doing their documentary, it was a daytime/nighttime stuff, and they had captured a ball of light in this one instance where it was by this guy's head. Now, if they would have felt that light that close, obviously they would have said something. Apparently they were unaware of this. When you look at the footage in its regular speed, you see a very fast, what appears to be oscillation. There's a flashing effect going on. They thought, was it one light, two light, three light? They just knew that it was really, really fast. And so there seemed to be some oscillation going on. I don't know if this is the same kind of source of light compared to what I experienced, but you can actually visually see some oscillation going on. And there are some other details in it which I would like to get into later, but to the trained eye, when you watch it, Well, let's just watch for the fade view. So I'll play this clip a few times and let you get an idea of what I'm talking about. Yeah, so much to discover out here, so much to talk about. Again, take care.
Once again, the phantasms of the cemetery seem to take a special interest in Ron, as shown in both photographs and video. Look closely at Ron's hat. It's not certain whether there is one orb or three. What is certain is that there was no light source or anything reflective on Ron's head at the time. The whole occurrence lasted 5 video frames, less than 1/4 of a second.
When I saw the footage, it made me feel pretty uneasy. It didn't sit well with me. And not only do I feel singled out in this whole shoot and in this whole experience, but this was like another step up. Now, not only were these just shadows and fog around me, but these were lights.
Yes, science!